Literature has affected me in many more ways than I will ever understand. Here are the 10 most influential works of literature in my life. Number 1, Remember the Titans. When Remember the Titans came out in 2000, I was only 8 years old and was a starting running back for my football team. This movie is an amazing portrayal of how plagued America was with racism, but also how easily it was to overcome if people were compassionate. Racism has been a very important thing in my life because I have an African American brother and sister adopted from Haiti. When I was growing up, my family would always be stared at when we were at restaurants, the grocery store, and in public. It took me a while to notice because I was so young, but Remember the Titans truly made me realize racism was still present, but can also be overcome. I am so privileged to be brought up in a family with adopted siblings because I truly consider myself colorblind and see everyone as equal. As time has gone on since the early 1970s, when Remember the Titans took place, racism has improved, but unfortunately is still present in the society. Anything can be overcome with passion and dedication, and even the most rugged social issues such as racism can be eliminated with time. Number 2, Lose Yourself by Eminem. Before every game, whether it was baseball, basketball, football, or soccer, Lose Yourself by Eminem was playing on my CD player. This was one of my favorite songs ever. Eminem grew up in 8 Mile, an extremely dangerous part of Detroit, and had many hardships overcoming obstacles along his road to becoming a hip-hop artist. Obviously, in 2002, I was only 10 and had no clue what issues Eminem was actually talking about. Because I had to interpret the words on my own, I believe this is why the song turned out to be so inspirational in my life. Whenever I heard the song, I would just picture a moment of glory that I may have in the future, and my mind would create its own reality. Music is such a powerful tool and has been a huge part of my life ever since. Lose Yourself is one of the first songs I can remember, but it set the stage and truly let music play a big part of my life. Music can take you out of a bad mood and make a good mood or event that much better. As Eminem said in Lose Yourself, if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or let it slip? Number 3, Pursuit of Happiness. In The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith plays the role of Chris Gardner, a homeless salesman turned stockbroker. This story is the ultimate story of the American dream in pursuing what you want. For almost a year, Chris Gardner struggles with on and off homelessness. Realizing that selling bone density scanners will not last much longer, he takes a chance to become a stockbroker to make more money, which would bring happiness for him and his son. This story is very emotional and shows how much is possible if you are willing to put in everything you have into the effort. In 2006, when the movie came out, I was in middle school, and this movie hit me hard. It made me realize that anything truly is possible if you put the work in. As cliche as it sounds, it is true, and the pursuit of happiness makes me strive for success every day. Number 4, Things Fall Apart. In Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, Okonkwo is a respected warrior of Yomofia, a clan in Africa. His father was weak and lazy, and he aspires to be nothing like him in life. Through many unfortunate events, Okonkwo finds himself getting kicked out of his clan, the missionaries change his clan, and one of his closest elders dies. Okonkwo, after a long tough journey, commits suicide instead of rising up against the changes and trying to get his clan back. This was an amazing novel until it ended with the main character committing suicide. This made me truly realize how stupid of a solution suicide was to someone's problems. After being a wealthy, respected member of a powerful clan, Okonkwo throws everything away and ends his own life. It portrays him as a coward and proves that he ended up exactly what he didn't want to become, his father. It is a sad ending to a great story and made me realize suicide is truly a permanent solution to a temporary problem and should never be considered. Number 5, Life of Pi. In Life of Pi by Jan Martel, Pi Patel and his family decide to move from India to Canada and move their zoo creatures with them to recreate their zoo in Canada. Their cargo ship sinks and only Pi hops onto the safety boat, only to discover a tiger also escaped into the lifeboat. A zebra, hyena, orangutan, tiger, and Pi are all on one lifeboat. Through the food chain, all the animals are eventually eaten, only to leave the tiger and Pi. They live for months together and somehow survive to tell the tale to officials from the Japanese Ministry of Transport when they wash up on shore in Mexico. Pi tells the story to the officials, but they don't believe him, so he replaces the animals with people from the ship, which the officials believe to be true. In the end, the author leaves it to you to decide which story is true. This book was very influential because I do not enjoy reading books that are assigned to read but have no meaning. This book caught my attention and I truly enjoyed reading this story. The hardships Pi encountered were unreal and made me consider what I would do in similar situations. It also showed me that you are never hopeless enough to just give up. If a teenager can survive on a 16-foot lifeboat with a full-grown tiger for months on end, there is no point in ever giving up. Number 6. The Kite Runner. In The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini, Amir and his friend Hassan run around and are infamous for chasing kites and just being boys. Kabul is divided over religious differences, and Amir and his dad had to move out of Afghanistan and eventually reach California. After Amir is settled and married, his father dies and he gets a call from an old friend that there is a way to be good again. Amir goes to Afghanistan to solve his insecurities and rescue his old friend's son from the Taliban. This story was unbelievably interesting, not only because I learned so much about the cultural differences, but also because of the way Amir's childhood lie followed him for the rest of his life. This truly made me realize how dumb it was to lie or deceive people, especially when it is unnecessary, because it can follow you forever. This book was another assigned book in high school that turned out to be one of my favorites. Number 7. Of Mice and Men. In Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, George and Lenny are two farm workers who are chasing their dream to own their own farm. Lenny is mentally unstable, but George takes him under his wing in order to chase their dream together. After multiple hardships from farm to farm, they find themselves running from a mob. The ending is extremely sad but also very meaningful. Their pursuit of happiness falls short and the prospect of land ownership goes down the drain. This unfortunate sequence of events exemplifies the efforts of so many who pursue the American dream and come up short with nothing to show for it. This book was influential to me because it made me want nothing more than to be successful and not to come up short in my pursuit to be successful. Seeing other examples of failure inspired me to work harder, and so it never happens to me. Of Mice and Men is a great story of the American dream and takes your emotions on a journey. Number 8. The Great Gatsby. In The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, Nick Carraway moves to New York in the 1920s to learn the bond business. Eventually he meets his mysterious neighbor, Jay Gatsby, who is extremely wealthy and throws extravagant parties every Saturday night. Through a long line of drama, the book guides the reader through multiple intertwined love affairs that eventually get Jay Gatsby murdered for something he wasn't even responsible for. Nick Carraway ends his relationships on the East Coast and moves back to the Midwest in order to get past all the drama and false hopes New York held. This book was influential because it made me realize how much money and dishonesty can misguide your pursuit of happiness. In today's day and age, it is so easy to get distracted from your dreams in order to pursue monetary gain. If your pursuit of happiness turns into a pursuit of wealth, priorities can get very mixed up and the results are not good. As Jay Gatsby proved, money can only provide so much happiness. Number 9. Golf is not a game of perfect. In Golf is Not a Game of Perfect, Bob Rotella, a sports psychologist, goes through the game of golf and everything he has learned throughout his career to make you a better golfer. My one true love is the game of golf, and it has been in my life ever since I was 6. I've spent countless hours practicing and playing in order to pursue my dream of one day playing professional golf. Bob Rotella is a world-renowned sports psychologist and goes through many of his stories and examples of golfers he has worked in the past. Golf is one of the most mental sports there is, so this book has really guided my interest and helped me become a better golfer. Whenever I am playing poorly or in the off-season and need a lift up, I like to go back and reread this book to get refreshed on the knowledge and get motivated again. Number 10. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. One of Robert Frost's most popular works, The Road Not Taken, is my favorite poem of all time. In elementary school, I remember a poster being on the wall of my classroom that had the last stanza of this poem. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Every day I would read that poster in the room, and I began to realize how important it is to take the harder road in order to get where you wanted. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. As I grew up and went through literature classes in middle school and high school, This poem always seemed to come up. Even when we would talk about it for long periods of time, I would get less out of it than when I was able to just read it every day in elementary school. Even today, I love this poem, and it could even be part of the reason I am at West Point. Taking the road less traveled makes all the difference, and I am out to prove that idea.